But I think USC has a real shot in this game.
I agree with you. I mean, listen, I look at what Oregon has done this year, and I don't know about you, but I have not seen a lot of Oregon.
No impressive wins.
I saw the game against Iowa, and that was an 18-16 game. I'll give Oregon all the credit. They're on the road in the conference, so that's a good win. Because USC, they beat Iowa, but they had the home cooking, right? So there's a common opponent. But the difference is that Oregon went on the road and beat Iowa, whereas Iowa came to the Coliseum and USC beat them. So Iowa's not really that good. They're okay, but they're not that good. And neither Oregon, I would say Oregon's win on the road is impressive, but the way they just kind of barely got by wasn't. And USC, they're at home. So I'm looking around, George, and you tell me, I mean, what is a great win this year so far for Oregon that is so impressive to the voters out there? Is it a win?
There is none.
Right. They beat Rutgers 56-10.
I mean, Iowa's their most impressive win.
They beat Penn State when Penn State was good on the road.
Right.
So that's something to consider.
Yeah, but the hilarious thing to me is, did you watch any of the committee stuff after the fact?
You mean last night?
Playoff ranking? Yeah.
No, I didn't watch any of that committee stuff. No, I read all about it, but keep going.
So the guy so I don't know if you know this, the committee chair had to step down, right, for personal reasons. The guy who was the AD at Baylor. Are you familiar with this story or not?
No, not one bit.
All right. So long story short, and I don't know, nobody knows what those personal reasons are, right? Mm-hmm. But he did have some sort of run-in with one of his football players, and they're saying it has nothing to do with that. Whatever. Long story short,
I did hear about that, by the way. I think a lot of people probably read about that he kind of ripped into one of their players about
the
something.
tight ends. One of the tight ends. But they're saying it has nothing to do with that. Anyway, long story short, so the Baylor AD, who was the chair, the committee chair, had to step aside.
Okay.
So they elevated someone else to the committee chair, and this guy was literally sweating on television yesterday. Like, I'm not even joking to you. You need to see the video of this.
I got to watch this.
Because he was dripping in sweat. You remember Airplane when Stryker is having to fly the plane?
Right.
That's what he looked like.
Oh,
okay?
my God.
That's an old-timey reference.
Right.
But that's what he looked like. He was sweating bullets.
All right, let me see if I can find it. All right, keep going.
And he made no sense at times there. Literally one of the things they asked him about was, hey, why is Oregon – they asked the question you asked. Why is Oregon ranked so high? Who have they beaten? He says, like stumbling through it, well, they beat Penn State on the road, this, that, and the other when they were still good. And it's like, bro, that was a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? And they kind of fell apart after that. By the way, even with their team. You know what I mean? James Franklin lost several games after that. And their quarterback was healthy for another couple of games after that. So that was like, wait, so what? So you're giving them credit for a game against Penn State when they were allegedly good, but then they were pretty bad the next couple of weeks, including a loss to UCLA with their starters in there. Their quarterback was playing in some of these games still. Their coach was still there. So I didn't understand the Oregon thing. And then when they asked them about Notre Dame, they're like, well, Notre Dame's 2 losses are really good. And it's like, but who did they beat? You know what I mean? It was unreal. The logic was being twisted like this is a good win and these are good losses, but none of it was consistent. Honestly, I had such a headache after watching it that I'm like, can we just bring back the BCS? I feel like that was a lot more equitable and easier to figure out than this nonsense.
Well, let me just back you up for a quick second here. Look, Oregon this year, prior to the Penn State game, they don't have anything on their resume that's impressive. Beating Oklahoma State 69-3, we know what a disaster Oklahoma State turned into, and they fired their coach. Beating Oregon State 41-7, that's not impressive. I mean, Oregon State wasn't even invited to the party with their rival Oregon to go to the Big Ten.
Right.
When they beat Penn State, the fact of the matter is this. When Oregon went on the road and beat Penn State in front of 100,000 people at Happy Valley, that was, at that moment, that was an impressive win. However, we're not impressed with it as much today because we know what Penn State has turned into. Maybe a little unfair to Oregon because Penn State was number 3 in the country, and they were considered a national championship contender at the time, and then the wheels fell off and the coach got fired. They lost to UCLA, as you point out. After that, George, they lost to Indiana, who's for real, and they've beaten up on bottom feeders. Rutgers, they beat Wisconsin. They squeaked by Iowa, and they beat up on Minnesota. Oregon, other than the Penn State win on the road and the Iowa win on the road, which was just kind of getting barely by, those are their 2 wins that they're hanging their hats on. But you and I had this conversation yesterday. There are human beings in that room, and they are making decisions, and they want a West Coast powerhouse. They want a former Pac-12 team. They want a name brand. And that, for them right now, is Oregon until USC goes to Oregon this upcoming weekend. And should they beat them, they'll change everybody's tune.
Felipe is there.
Correct.
Yes, Felipe has shown up here today. I'm going to get up for a second and close the window.
Yeah. So anyway, 100% right. So USC, as I told you, if they win out, they have an 81% chance to get in. They've given themselves an opportunity here with 2 weeks remaining to be in the hunt, to be in the mix. And they keep climbing, slowly but surely, but they keep climbing, and they find themselves in a scenario where I think that if they win out, if we get a little chaos in front of them, which I think is very possible the last 2 weeks in college football, like Utah has also not beaten anybody. Like I think USC can jump them. If BYU ends up losing their championship game, I could see them being out. Alabama, we've already talked about with Auburn still having to be played at the end of the season, and Oregon would drop out of the equation. So USC has a chance. It's not a great chance, but it's a pretty good one, I would say.
It is today. As we sit here today,
but they got to win, right? No, of course they got to win. It's the most important thing.
As we sit here today on Wednesday, November 19th, USC has a chance, but their chances increase significantly. And I will tell you this: if USC beats Oregon and USC beats UCLA, they're finding their way into this playoff. Maybe a lot of LA sports fans who follow SC. I don't know if you guys are the passionate fans. I don't know if you're the fight on folks, but. I'm sensing from the mongrels there's a lack of belief that USC can go to Oregon and win. In fact, some are saying they're about to get humiliated on national TV on Saturday.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think they're getting humiliated. It's a 9.5-point spread. Oregon is a 9.5-point favorite. I think USC keeps it. I think USC keeps it within the number. I think they can, and I think if they keep it within the number, they can win the game.
That's a scary point spread, though. I wasn't expecting it to be 9.
9.5
Wow.
is you know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like Vegas assumes that no one has seen either of these teams play other than their hometown fan bases, and that America would bet on this game and more people would take Oregon. They'd be like, oh, Oregon, USC? Oregon's a powerhouse, and USC is just trying to fight their way back into relevance, and Oregon's the team, so 9.5 points. If I were going to play this game, I'd have to play SC to cover that 9.5. Have to. That's a lot of points when you look at their common opponent. And again, I'm just looking at that Iowa game. 2 weeks ago, Oregon went to Iowa, squeaked by. Last week, Iowa went to USC. USC won, I would say, handily. That's a lot of points. I am very surprised to hear a 9.5-point spread.